Trimantra Bola, can you please say Trimantra? Okay, Shrey, please repeat after.
Namo Vitragaya.
Namo Vitragaya.
Namo Rihantanam.
Namo
Namo Siddhanam. Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo
Namo Vajayanam.
Namo
Namo Loe Sawa Sahunam.
Namo Loe Sawa Sahunam.
Eso Panchana Mukaro.
Eso Panchana Mukaro.
Savapavapanasano.
Savapavapanasano.
Manglanam Chasuvesim.
Manglanam Chasovesim.
Padmam Havai Mangalam.
Padamam Havai Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagvate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagvate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand. Welcome to the English section now, Satsang. And we are very happy that we are introduced this. And with this, lot of Satsang and science which Dada has revealed, it will be available in English. So all English people, English speaking and who understand only English, they would be benefited by this. Jai Satchidanand. Unmute.
Jai Satchidanand. Where is Pulinanandji? Okay. Pulinanandji, unmute please. Pulinanandji? No, you're breaking up. Okay, he has to come back. Deepakanji.
Yeah, he should come back. Just a minute. There he is there.
Okay, he's back.
Okay. Hello. You do see now. Am I
Vitalji, your sound, unmute please. Pulinanandji? Pulinanandji, unmute? No, Deepakanji.
I'm trying. I get problem.
Pulinanandji, you can keep your video off, please.
No signal. He's not even coming on Spotlight.
Pulinanandji?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Okay, fine.
Hello.
Pulinanandji? No, Deepakanji.
Pulinanandji?
Okay, I will start with the first question. Deepakanji, the other day we had been invited to the friend's place whom we know for a while, and they know that we have been in Dada Bhagwan's science for many, many times. So the host just cornered me in the corner and said, hey, what is Dada Bhagwan? How, if somebody says that Rajni is involved in Dada Bhagwan, what do I say to our other friend? So can you please explain the basics of how we can explain the science easily to somebody else before we have turn to other questions?
Sure. What I can gather over the years of experience, how I came across Dada Bhagwan and understood him uh, correctly. We have the physical science, the physical world, and the science related to the world, physics, chemistry, biology, zoology. But these are external science. And what Dada Bhagwan explored, Mr. A.M. Patel explored, he went inside that if something is there outside, there got to be something inside also. Pulinanandji, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm fine. Huh? Yeah.
Right. So
Video.
we
Shall I
just got,
switch off the?
okay.
No, carry on, carry on. Huh?
So he
No,
said,
you can carry on.
yeah, okay.
You can
Okay.
complete. You can complete. Huh?
Okay, fine. So he said that if there is a sign that is working outside and we are living entities, then there got to be signs inside also. And he said that from several lives, he had been uh, in search of that science. And we have heard people talking about wisdom and those miracles what they encounter in their life and all that stuff. But then he wanted to have correct answers, exact answers. And in this life, uh, it culminated into opening the full blast of the knowledge of the pure soul that is there within us. But within him, it opened in its fullest extent possible in today's time. And he explained that situation as with that light of knowledge open within him, he could see all his mistakes. He could see and understand how the world is working, how people come together, how they pass through suffering, and all those questions from time immemorial, which were not answered or were not clear for him, it was cleared. And that's how uh, he enjoyed the bliss of that inner soul, because what happiness and unhappiness we encounter outside, they were or they are temporary. And everyone is looking for that lasting happiness, permanent happiness, what we call as bliss. And he found out. And with that light of knowledge opening within him, he experienced himself in everyone. He got the answer to all his questions, that science of life and living. He said he thought, I mean, he found out that this science is living in everyone. It is present. We are living that science, but we are not aware of that science. So he says if one becomes aware of that science, and that science is of knowing oneself, who one is, and when one comes to know who really one is, then with that knowledge, one can know, understand, experience, and live blissfully with the world outside. Like how it is said, having known that, everything gets known. So what is that truth needs to be known. He knew that. I mean, he came to know that, revealed to him, that opened to him in on a railway station in Surat, and that is where it lasted for almost an hour, where he saw everything, understood how the world is working, who is running the show of the world, what is birth, what is that, what are these different forms of life, what is human life, what is the goal of human life, and what we should be doing as humans, what is nature, what are all these celestial bodies. Everything was uh, blatantly open in front of him with that inner light of knowledge opening within him.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Same question to Pulinanandji because no questions are there. Pulinanandji, if some non-Mahatmas encounter you and say, I hear you are in Dada Bhagwan. What is Dada Bhagwan? Uh, so how can you basically explain to him, Pulinanandji?
Yeah. Okay. So, if we want to say who is Dada Bhagwan or what is the science of Dada Bhagwan, we can say he was an enlightened spiritual soul who had realized his own self, his true self, the spirit or the soul that we call. He was living separately from the soul. The body was separate and he was separate. And he had experienced the permanent or the infinite bliss of the pure soul. So, in his infinite wisdom, he then revealed the entire science as how this world operates, who we really are, where permanent happiness lies, and how we should live this worldly life. So, that was the core message of all his teachings. His teachings were, his satsangs or spiritual gatherings were generally in the form of question and answers, where all spiritual aspirants would ask questions to him and then he would give replies to them. The key thing was, the key message or the key uh, teaching was that realize who you are. You are not the name, you are not the body. Name and body are temporary, you are permanent. You are the permanent soul and permanent happiness. Each living being seeks happiness, and the happiness, the permanent happiness lies in that permanent soul. In the absence of this permanent happiness, we seek happiness from external uh, our senses, gratification of the senses, the eyes, nose. Then we also seek happiness through material possessions, through money, etc. Because that is the way worldly happiness is perceived to be. All these are temporary. All these happinesses are again dependent on the body. If the eyes are good, you will enjoy watching movie on the TV. You see? So it's dependent on the body. Moreover, if really happiness was coming from a TV show or a movie, then what if you did that for 24 hours? Would your happiness multiply? No. So it is not really happiness, because if anything that gives happiness, the more that you do of it, your happiness should increase. So on the one hand, he tried to tell people that the happiness that you are hankering after, or the happiness that you are feeling that is happiness, is temporary, it is dependent on the body, and it's illusionary. It's not truly, it's very illusionary, because if you do more of it, you again get fed up of it. So then where is happiness? Happiness is in your true self. Then how to recognize the true self? Then he had the divine grace and power by which he could make an aspirant realize his true self or the soul in a spiritual ritual of our 2 hours, which we call as Gnan Vidhi. And with the help of that, the aspirant realizes his true self. He becomes separate from the body. And then all that he has to do is observe the body, the mind, speech, and the body, and let it exhaust its karmas. It will go about doing its worldly activities. It may be job, it may be profession, it may be uh, household activities, raising children, family life, etc. Nothing had to be renounced. See, the biggest key and understanding and the biggest benefit of this science, as revealed by Dada Bhagwan, it is called the Akram science or the stepless path, was that you don't have to renounce anything. You don't have to give up anything. You can lead the normal life, be detached from the body, be an observer to the body, and remain in the bliss of an observer. You gradually become unaffected by the happenings that take place with the body. The body, mind, speech, body, it'll do its work. Somebody will shower praise, somebody will abuse. Both you will be able to take it equanimously because it's happening to the body and you are separate from the body. The body is the neighborer, so you remain unaffected. So what previously, in the absence of this knowledge, the ego would get bruised if someone hurt, or the ego would get elevated if someone praised. Now, in both situations, this will down gradually diminish as we exhaust our karmas. You see, the effects, worldly effects of good or bad, gradually diminish. You remain separate and experience the infinite bliss step by step. As the karmas that we have brought get exhausted slowly and slowly, then the separateness, the awareness of the separateness, the jagrati of the separateness increases slowly and slowly, and we remain anchored in the self, absolutely aloof and separate from the body. The body does its work, the soul remains an observer to that, and we experience a lot of bliss. And in this process, the ego gradually diminishes and reduces and ultimately diminishes to a very low value. And finally, you can always remain in a state where they become they become separate totally and remain separate totally. So this was his science, the science of the self, the science of infinite bliss, the science of remaining separate. The crux and the biggest advantage was it did not put a religion in the form of rituals and practices, but he revealed, just as you have the physical science of physics, chemistry, and biology, where everything is in experiment and experienceable. Same thing, he opened up the spiritual world, the spiritual science of the six eternal elements, how the interplay of the six eternal elements cause all situations to arise, where we are, how to remain separate, and finally, what is the destiny? What is the purpose of this human life? The purpose of this human life is to be free from the cycles of birth and death, to remain in a position of permanent bliss, and that is ultimately moksha or liberation. So that is the purpose of human being. How to achieve the purpose? What is the science? And then he elaborated quite a lot. How to lead a good worldly life. If someone abuses you, someone hurts you, how do you take it? How do you ensure that you don't hurt anybody? And then how to lead a good family life with husband, wife, children, parents? How to handle money, need of money, how it is obtained, how it should be spent. So he had shed light on various worldly aspects as well as on various aspects of Purushartha, uh, whereby we can increase our awareness and increase our separateness and gradually progress on the path of moksha. So this, I would say, would be a brief summary of Dada Bhagwan.
Oh, that is very good. The Pulinanandji, the couple of things you talked about: science of self, spiritual, science and purpose of human life, and Purusha and Prana. I think this is a good icebreaker for other people. Now, thank you very much. Now, we have also, it must have broken the ice, so we have questions coming up. You're very good. Akshay?
Jai Satchidanand Pulinanandji. I have
Yes.
one question. Question as a parent. Uh, just recently, both Aptputras talked about that Dada Bhagwan Gyan is science, is a science. But as a parent, also, I have heard from others that it is very important for your child to learn language, your mother tongue language, and especially Gujarati language, because the Gnan came in that language. Then the question that Akshay got was, if this is science, why is it important to learn that particular language? Because science really doesn't have any language. I can learn science in any language. What does language play a role in understanding this science?
It's a good question. You see, basically, this science was revealed by Dada Bhagwan. And since his language of communication was Gujarati, he has he has spoken or revealed the entire science through spiritual satsangs in Gujarati. He had spoken at length, uh, and all his satsangs generally were in Gujarati. At times he spoke Hindi and also in English, but the depth and the depth of the science and various aspects and phases of the science he has revealed in Gujarati. So if you understand Gujarati, you will be able to understand the science better, because some amount of the essence does get diluted when you try to translate. All words English we may not find equivalent words in the English or any other language as much as it is in Gujarati, you see. So if a person can't understand or Gujarati, then he'll understand the finer nuances of the entire science. So it will definitely help to understand the science from his point of view to the finest detail, because a lot of details have come in that language, and it becomes difficult to translate the essence of that in other languages. That is why Gujarati would definitely help.
Right.
And we can definitely inculcate or encourage our children to learn this language slowly and slowly. And the experience shows during his lifetime also, when he was in the United States, that the youngsters did not understand Gujarati. So he had only said, try, do the bhavna. And everybody just had an intention setting that I learn Gujarati so that I can understand the science. And gradually they just happen to understand the science, understand Gujarati, and now they are well versed. And even now, there are so many aspirants, so many followers, Mahatmas, who don't understand Gujarati, Hindi speaking, and non-Hindi speaking too. But they have desired that they want to understand. And today, in the last 1 year, so many Hindi-speaking Mahatmas have started understanding Gujarati and the language. So it's a divine grace that works, because the objective is to understand the spiritual science as revealed by the Bhagwan. The objective is to lead a good life. The objective is to attain salvation. So his grace does help. So he had only one underlying wish, that everybody in the world should be free from all the miseries, and those who are qualified or those who desire, they may attain salvation. So his wish does come into practice, does fructify if one desires to do it. So the answer to your question is, to understand the deeper aspects of the science, it will be useful to understand the language Gujarati. That's it.
Okay, Akshay? Akshay?
One more question got, yes, Rajininkar. One more question got raised. Uh, like, can you explain grace scientifically? Grace. You, you,
Well,
you
you see,
mentioned divine.
divine grace. I'll tell you. You see, we have experienced, all of us experience grace to a limited extent. You, as a parent, for example, as a parent, you will always have good wishes for your child, that he
Right.
prospers, that he understands well, he becomes a good person, becomes a good human being, he progresses in his relative world, he progresses spiritually. Every parent has a deep intent and best wishes for that his own child. They do take efforts. Now, if the child goes along with you, does what you say, and progresses on the path that you feel is useful for him, automatically it will generate a lot of goodwill in your heart for him or her. Automatically, you will be more and more inclined to help. Compare and contrast it with another scenario where the child does not obey you, it abuses you, does not listen to you, then you'll have no feelings from your heart. Yeah, you will do all your duties as a parent, but that feelings from the heart will not be there. The well wish will not be there. You see. So this is what grace is there. If you do anything for if the child does as per your following, your heart goes out. Your well wishes go out. It's a subtle vibrations. Subtle vibration. Now this is a rough analogy to understand what grace is. This is your heartfelt good feelings. Similarly, it was his heartfelt good feelings for the entire mankind. For the entire mankind, that everybody be free from all sufferings. Everybody attain permanent happiness. So the science is that when someone you have intention and someone comes in your radius of that intention, grace flows. He gets it. Now let me tell you my experience on that. It's not direct grace, but I have found one thing, that if someone, I'm in communication with Mahatmas by way of my being an Aptputra. So at times when someone remembers me heartily, just thinks of me for some reason, he has a question in mind or wants to understand some aspect of the other satsang or something. Right. I somehow get vibrations. Somehow I get an intuition to call that person. And I just happened to ring just to say hi, hello, Jai Satyan, and this I was remembering. So when there is a good feeling that every Mahatma understands the science, everybody practices, and those who also have that feeling that I want to understand, then a rapport is built up, and that connection is there. Now this is not grace, but I'm just saying how connection builds up. So he had a connection for the welfare of the entire mankind, and everybody who also desires, yes, I want to prosper, I want to be happy. He somehow comes in that connection, and he gets the grace, or he gets his blessings, or he gets his guidance, if I may say so, how to progress on the path. This is a rough analogy of what that grace is. Something to be felt, you can't, little difficult to put in words.
Thank you. That, right. But one question from that, what I want to understand, if my understanding is clear. My understanding is I can gain knowledge. I can gain knowledge scientifically, gain knowledge by two things. One is do experiments on my own and then gain knowledge from the results or observations of those experiments. And second is through grace. Grace basically is to sit with knowledgeable person and get the knowledge directly transferred from that person. Is that the right understanding, or is it only grace?
Grace is not like that. Grace is, see, his grace is there. It's free flowing in the cosmos, or on this planet, let me say it. His grace is free flowing. Anyone who wants to tap into it, he has to just tap into it. That's all. By connecting to his own welfare, personal welfare. Let me put it the other way. The knowledge part that you said, the knowledge part is it's a universal science, not only for connected with Dada, Bhagwan, or spiritual science, or liberation science, or moksha science, but it is connected with any field. If you want to excel, say to become a good engineer, say to become a good social worker, anything, then if you put that intention and desire, you will get the all the required knowledge, information. You will come in contact with people who have that information, who will make you achieve that goal that you have set for yourself. You see? So that is a universal law in all aspects of human life.
Right.
You get what you ask. Someone wants to become a cheater or a big an expert thief or expert pickpocket, then he will get the required guidance from such a person. Knowledge can be gained from an expert that way, and it's always, you see, the fundamental rule of this world. You always need a guru or a guide who will help you to go where you want to go, whether it is materialistic world or the spiritual world. To become a engineer, you need a engineer to guide you. To become a doctor, you need a doctor to guide you. Similarly, to become a spiritual soul, you need a person who has attained that experience level to guide you. So
Right.
that is the guidance aspect.
Understood.
Grace follows when you do exactly as that, you get something, that it's a heart connection.
Correct.
Okay,
Understood.
Akshay?
Okay. Thank you.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Hemabeth?
Hey, Sachidan. My
Yes,
English is perfect English, okay? Listen, we had Kavi Dada's Gnan within English. That time I was there and I listened that all English word, the same thing like Dada Bhagwan said. But in English, some word I understand, some not understand. By I understand one word. I am abode of infinite bliss. I understand that. But then Akshay asked the question, so many questions, 2 questions. That's for me also, I understand. But we don't learn proper Gujarati also. Akshay, we don't learn proper Gujarati because we don't understand Dada's Gnan. That's why. See, if you speak Gujarati, that's fine. You understand nice. But our understanding is very, very poor. Like children. That I don't feel that we don't know English. I feel all the time English because my grandchildren are always speak English. And I asked my granddaughter one day, I say, you understand what God you believe? Right away she say, I don't believe outside God. I believe in inside God. What question I have inside? I don't give any answer. You understand that? And then I explain me, and then so many times Aptputra came here. They take the lesson for children also. That time my other daughter asked the question all the time. What is a Shudhdhatma? They explain all the time. We have Shudhdhatma inside his body because they always said Gujarati. See, and they don't understand. Only what they understand with Dada Bhagwan, Shudhdhatma. My daughter always asks, what is a Shudhdhatma? That's, I understand we are Shudhdhatma, but what is the next answer? They don't give answer proper. So what is explaining? You go school all the time in English school, then you understand. My question is, our is a, you are always right because see, that's why I'm always in a understand English more because I want to teach them. My grandchildren, sometimes they come here. We can't say anything with true words that I understand. That's it. Whatever they want, I give it to that money. That's not important for that. We understand. I learned from Deepak Bhai, Aptputra. I understand that later he gave it to Dada Bhagwan. Deepak Bhai, you understand that later. What you see, what you believe. That one sentence he gave to that touched me my heart. And that day, our parents, what you give it to that not important. What you your behavior, they go to children. Am I right?
Yeah.
I had the question that.
Now that's true. If you want to really train children, then you have to behave accordingly. As they say, you have to walk the talk. Your actions and your speech have to synchronize. You have to practice what you preach, especially with children. Children, they absorb what they see rather than what they listen. You preaching them waking up early will not work. If they see you waking up early, if they see you doing it, Aarti, if they see you not leaving food in your dish, they will practice accordingly. If they see you killing a mosquito, they will also kill a mosquito. Actions speak louder than words. As you see, so you reap. So we have to. We really have to.
Thank you. Thank you. My English is perfect, right? English?
Anyway, you had one simple.
Pulinanand, no voice.
As you see, so you learn. As you see, so you learn. That's the phrase. So that is true. Dada Bhagwan was also there. We learned from Dada Bhagwan precisely the same way. Now. We learned purely and purely from his speech and behavior. We could not recognize his inner state of being to the extent in his presence. We were purely his behavior, by his speech, by his loving nature, overflowing love, Prem Swarup. So, uh, uh, actions always, if you want to teach someone, then whatever is there within you, strength of character, as they say, Charitra Bad, strength of character is of prime essence if you want to be a teacher. If you want, you have to set an example yourself. Mahatma Gandhi practiced what he spoke. Yes. And that is the truth. So if you want your children to behave, act, understand in some way, then you have to set an example. It has to be in you.
Okay.
I can tell you, I've seen the other way. Aside the satsang, just one little example. I had seen one very small, maybe a 2 or 3 year old daughter, girl, and she would put lipstick, she would dance very well and all. I was wondering, where did you learn all this? I saw mama, I saw TV, and fat, they learned everything. So children grasp whatever they see in the materialistic world from TV or elders, or in same with spiritual world. They always come from the elders. If you watch TV and then ask them, don't watch TV, they cannot work. You have to
Thank you.
sacrifice a lot. To be a parent is a very.
Rajni uncle,
Bhagwan?
મારું English કેવું છે?
Okay, afterwards, we have less time.
Hebaben, okay. Jai Sachidanand.
જય સચિદાનંદ.
Kashyap bhai. Kashyap bhai.
Jai Sachin to everyone. Jai Sachin, Pulinanandji. Jai Sachin. My question is that what is the difference between this Nischay and Bhav? Nischay and Bhav. What is and Bhav?
Nischay means to make a firm resolution, a firm determination. And Bhav is an intention that I intend to do this.
So do we do during Nischay, we also do Bhav, is it right?
Yeah, that is understood now, because obviously you will do Nischay, you will do a firm determination to do something.
Yes.
So as a resolution or that determination for what? That will, it is inbuilt into it.
So there is no clear boundary like that this is Nischay and this is Bhav, and that we are doing now Nischay. So it is mixed, right?
No, I explained right now. Bhav means this is what I wish, and Nischay means to make a very firm resolution.
Yeah, but during resolution also we have some Bhav, right?
When you make a very firm determination, that is your Nischay. But Nischay to do what? Then that to execute a particular wish or a particular goal.
Goal, yes. So Bhav also comes in.
Obviously, you will do a resolution to do something, so that goal has to be there, na?
Goal has to be there. And next one, another thing is, what is Mann-bhed?
Mann-bhed means difference of opinion. Not difference of opinion. Mann-bhed actually, where the difference of opinion widens to such a large extent that the mind breaks down. Breaks down in the sense, his thinking and your thinking, the opposite person's thinking and your thinking don't match, and internally you just there's a big barrier between the two, mental barrier. Mentally, both of you are poles apart. Mentally, you get poles apart that somehow I will just not be able to match with this person, or somehow I'll not be able to match with this person's line of thinking. So the mind breaks down. That is called Mann-bhed.
So what is the difference Mann-bhed and Mat-bhed? Can you give us some example? One.
Mat-bhed means you have difference of opinion. I feel this is like this. Someone feels this is like this. So difference of opinion everybody can have. But if that widens, if the differences widen and they become rigid, then it leads to breakdown. It leads to a mental breakdown. So that is Mann-bhed.
So can you give an example? It will be clearer, that when it is Mat-bhed and when it is
Mat-bhed, difference of opinion, though you have day in and day out.
Yes.
You differ with so many viewpoints with your family members. He'll say, let's go this at 4 o'clock. You say, no, we'll go at 4:30. But then somehow you adjust. Either you go at 4 or he comes at 4:30. But then if that happens every day, that fellow doesn't listen to you at all and does always the way he wants, then your mind breaks down. That I just cannot get along with this person. Your mind says, I just cannot get along with this person. That's all. And the mind breaks down. So that is called Mann-bhed.
Okay, I got it. When the thinking also it cannot match, in any.
Yes.
In Mat-bhed there is some space for thinking to match. Some there is scope.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand. Puja?
Jai Satchidanand. This is more of like a foundation question for the Namaskar Vidhi. I was trying to decipher the difference between when you say Bhagvat Swarup, Shudhdhatma Swarup, and Tattva Swarup. And the only one that I really think I understand is when you say Tattva Swarup, that's pure Chetan, pure Chetan. But between Bhagvat Swarup and Shudhdhatma Swarup, can you maybe provide some insight on how to think about them when you say it in the Namaskar Vidhi?
Basically, just a brief, before we answer that question was, the Namaskar Vidhi, the previous sentence in the Namaskar Vidhi, Akka Brahmana Jeev Matrana Real Swarupne Atyan Bhakti Purvak Namaskar Karu Chu. I bow to the real in entire, all the living beings of the cosmos, of the Brahman. Now, what is that real being? Then what that real being is, that is defined in the remaining three obeisances. Real Swarup, a Bhagvat Swarup. That means this real Swarup, the true self, the true real self, is seen as a Bhagavad Swarup, and that means we look at from the person in whom this soul has got manifested. That body is called Bhagwan. Bhagwan means that body in which the soul has got manifested. Krishna, Ram, Bhagwan. Why they are called Bhagwan? Because the Atma was manifested, the soul had got manifested in that body form. So we cannot see the soul of anybody, but we can see the body of that enlightened being. So that he's an enlightened being, or the soul has got manifested in a particular person. How do we feel? Because his external body is having some traits and characteristics. So we call him Bhagwan. So real Swarup, Bhagavad Swarup. So I'm able to conceive the real Swarup by the physical Bhagavad Swarup, the external Bhagavad Swarup, those Bhagavad qualities, divine qualities. Then real Swarup, a Shudhdhatma Swarup. Then he goes to the Tattva. That means the real Swarup is the pure soul within each and every living being. The real being, the obeisance that I was saying to the real Tattva in each real elemental form, in each and every living being, So what is that real elemental form? It's the pure soul. Real Swarup is Shuddhatma Swarup. Real Swarup is the pure soul. The permanent, indestructible, pure soul. So I'm paying obeisance to the real being, means I'm paying obeisance to that pure soul which is in all the living beings. The third way of identifying the same real being is as a Tattva Swarup. Real Tattva Swarup means it is an absolute element by itself. There are 6 permanent elements in the universe. 6 permanent elements in. So pure soul is one of those elements. So in absolute terms, without having any reference to the body form, without having reference to anything, it's a pure element by itself. Pure, indestructible element, the soul. So I am paying obeisance to the pure, the real self. I am paying obeisance to real self as a pure element form, number 1. Number 2, as the pure soul, as a Shudhdhatma. And number 3, as a body form, Bhagvat Swarup. That is that body form in which that pure element form, that Shudhdhatma or the soul, has got manifested. So I'm
I think he got frozen.
Yeah.
because there was some net disturbance.
No, we lost you, but now, okay, go ahead.
I let me briefly say, okay, real Swarup. So we are trying to pay obeisance to the real element in 3 ways. One is the body form, Bhagvat Swarup, in which the pure element or the pure soul is manifest. One is the pure soul, the Shudhdhatma. And third thing, the same thing I'm calling as a pure, indivisible, indestructible element. The 6 eternal elements that are there in the entire cosmos, pure soul being one of them. So I'm paying obeisance to that pure element, the indestructible element.
Okay,
It's the
so
same
there are
thing.
3
Swarup,
synonyms of
real
real
Swarup is
being.
the same thing, the way I view it as an element form, pure soul, or as the body form.
Okay.
As a scientist, will look at as element form. Then a spiritual person as a pure soul, and a person little lower understanding will have the body form. Oh, Bhagwan and Namaskar. He doesn't know the Atma. He says, oh, I see the body.
Right.
So that
Okay.
same thing.
Okay, Pooja?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand. Mish Kumar?
Jai Satchidanand. Pulinanandji, can you explain what are the other 3 elements? You already explained the 3 elements. What are the other 3? There were total 6.
No, I explained only one. The pure, the 6 eternal elements are, one is the pure soul. That is our true self. Second is the atoms, if I may loosely call it, it is called Parmanu in Gujarati. It is a still subtle form of atoms. Or if I may say so, the second element is the smallest indivisible part of matter. Grossly, it is one is pure soul, one is matter, but not matter, but the smallest indivisible part of matter. If you keep on dividing, till you come to the smallest part, which you cannot further divide, that is called Parmanu. So that is the all matter, if you may say loosely. Pure soul is the first eternal element. Matter is the second eternal element. Space in which we are, that is the third eternal element. Time is the fourth eternal element. And there are 2 elements, one which aids motion, Gati Sahayak Tattva as it is called it, the element which aids motion to go from place A to place B. That is the 5th eternal element. And the 6th eternal element is the one which halts the motion or stops the movement. Sthiti Sahayak Tattva એને કહે છે. So these are the 6 eternal elements. They are all there in the cosmos, and they are in constant state of flux. They're constant moving around, changing around, and interacting with each other, which leads to so many body forms and so many other situations that arise.
Okay. So I actually have a question. So before I knew Dada Bhagwan through Mummy long time ago, but for a period of time when I was young. I didn't really we didn't really do in the house Vidhi, and I didn't really understand. But inside, I knew that inside Nimish, before I had Gnan, that uh, happiness wasn't there for whatever reason. And it wasn't like looking for materialistic, but after Gnan, it's hard to explain, but in the way I would function in my life is that I wanted to always give and be happy and provide for everyone. So it was more of a sense of just being a positive person, good vibration or energy. And then after Gnan and learning and satsang and everything, it kind of helped Nimish understand what it is. But my true essence was uh, because I'm mostly English speaking, it was easy for me to understand, even though I don't know, I'm not fluent in Gujarati. So the basics are there. Can you explain that, if that's how how that it's not a physical, but it's more of a mental energy wise, right? Positive energy wise.
So what is your question?
Okay, that's what I was wondering, but that was what I was asking.
I think his question is he learned so many things from mommy or everything, but he don't know the Gujarati, but he's still catching the Gujarati, right? So how it happening? That's what your question.
If I can briefly understand what he has described, if I can summarize what he has described is, okay, before Agnan, I was a good, I just have my prakriti or my nature was to give people, to help people, to be happy, to be a loving person and send off good vibrations. That was your nature, prakritic nature before Gnan. And then after you got Gnan, and then you are now understanding Gujarati and practicing the principles of the Bhagwan and realizing more and more of the inner happiness. Earlier, it was the external happiness as perceived and understood by you. Now you are gravitating more towards your inner happiness, towards your spiritual true being, and doing your external duties.
So
this is little I can understand from what you said.
Yeah. So the different souls that are in this world, even they may not get the benefit of knowing Dada Bhagwan or understanding the real science. Isn't just the natural nature of a positive or a good person enough to move up to the next, to moksha, to actually start propelling up?
Irrespective of what happens to other people, spiritual journey of progressing towards liberation is an individual choice. It's a individual's development. Yeah? As a person evolves spiritually over infinite life births, not just birth, infinite life births, gradually he goes up the spiritual ladder. And then at one point of time, everybody seeks happiness. After getting all the materialistic happiness over various life cycles, he ultimately realizes that true happiness is not there in materialist happiness. True happiness lies somewhere else. Then someone guides him, yes, true happiness or permanent happiness is in the permanent soul. So then he then starts aspiring to get what is permanent soul, how to find permanent soul, who will guide me towards my true self or that permanent soul. And then he starts seeking answers or seeking a guide to achieve that experience or realize his own self. And then he gets that person, he experiences himself, and then he sheds off his karmas and finally gets liberated. So to get permanent happiness is an individual choice, and not everybody is ready for it. It takes many life births to come to that conclusion that permanent happiness is in the pure soul, that I am not the body and I am the pure soul. So it's an evolution over many life cycles that one reaches that conclusion and then attains that state of being, as we call samkit, or knowing the true self, and then finally shedding off all karmas and getting liberated. So that's the individual spiritual journey. So, and it varies from person to person.
Okay, Nimish bhai?
Yeah, Jai Sachidanand.
Jai
Thank you.
Sachidanand. Here's the last question from London. Mukesh bhai?
Yeah, just again, Pulinanandji. Just had the one question which just I think Pooja Ben has just asked about. So I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Dada Bhagwan state as a Gnani Purush is between Bhagwan and Tirthankar, between them. So when you say real Swarup a Bhagvat Swarup che and real Swarup che Shudhdhatma Swarup na namaskar karu, real Swarup Tattva Swarup. So in which category Dada Bhagwan fall in?
નહીં દાદા આખા બ્રહ્માંડના જીવ માત્રના રિયલ સ્વરૂપને અત્યંત ભક્તિપૂર્વક નમસ્કાર કરું છું.
Yep.
I am paying obeisance to the real swarup in each and every living
Okay.
being. So it is obeisance to each and every living being. So Dada A.M. Patel or Dada Bhagwan, the Gnani Purush, also had the true soul within him.
Yep.
Then we are also paying obeisance to the 360-degree pure soul within A.M. Patel or Gnani Purush, who was at 365 degrees or 356 degrees.
Okay.
He himself was doing obeisance to the Dada Bhagwan within himself. So we are also, when we say that sentence, we are also paying obeisance to the pure soul within Dada Bhagwan. Dada Bhagwan, so we call him Dada Bhagwan. Actually, really speaking, you also know that during his lifetime, we always used to address him by Dada. Dada, am karo che, Dada, Dada, do this, Dada, do that, Dada, we are going away. We never called him Dada Bhagwan. And he also told that I am not Dada Bhagwan. Dada Bhagwan is within me, the 360 degrees.
That's true.
We are now we are talking about him. When we say Dada Bhagwan, we really mean A.M. Patel, 356 degrees, the enlightened spiritual person. So that's the fine distinction between Bhagwan and the Gnani.
Thank you. Jai Sachidanand.
Okay, we have time is up. So, Pulinanandji, can you do Trimantra and Ankush bhai, please follow?
Yeah, sure.
Namo Vitragay,
Namo Vitragay,
Namo Varihantanam,
Namo Arihantanam,
Namo Siddhanam,
Namo Siddhanam,
Namo Ayariyanam,
Namo Ayariyanam,
Namo Vajrayanam,
Namo Vajrayanam,
Namo Loe Sauva Sahunam,
Namo Loe Sauva Sahunam,
Eso Panchana Mukaro,
Aiso Panchana Mukaro,
Sauvapavapanasano,
Sauvapavapanashano,
Manglanancha Savesin,
Manglanam cha Sauvesim,
Paramam Havai Mangalam.
Paramam Havai Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevai,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevai,
Om Namah Shivaya,
Om Namah Shivaya,
Satchidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Next program announcement at 7:45 we have the Junior Forum. Then at 9 p.m. we